The night the family's empire imploded, Victoria shoved me, gift-wrapped, at an Eastbrook. The man barely speaks, cold as firmware, his only selling point, he's frighteningly, ruthlessly capable. So capable that every dawn I sit crimson-eyed, dabbing arnica over the fresh brands he left on my skin. I can't stand the sting. I hurled the cotton swab, grabbed my phone, and tiptoed toward the door. Instantly, a floating ribbon of text scrolled across my vision. Girl, what are you doing? He's the only one willing to back you up and tear that venomous stepmother and green tea half-sister to shreds. Our humanoid CEO is crazy about you, he just sucks at words. Go check his study, his notebook is soaked in thirsty love notes only a ghost husband would write. I hesitated, backside 2 inches off the sofa, then whoosh, gravity sucked me down again. Following the neon breadcrumbs, I opened the matte black meeting minutes ledger lying dead center on Sebastian's desk. The live comments weren't trolling. Holy matrimony, Batman. Page after page, sticky with the clammy breath of a diary-keeping specter husband. The freshest entry, today's ink still wet, wife wore that butter yellow slip this morning, she looked edible, I almost. No, rein it in. If I don't, I'll scare her. He had outlined the word scare twice, pressing so hard the paper blistered. You could practically hear the man pout. Still. I glanced down, confused. This slip cost me $19.99 on a bargain app, the fabric is pilled. It's printed with SpongeBob's 2 white buck teeth and his manic grin. Where, exactly, did Sebastian mine adorable from? Do Eastbrook billionaires have optic filters the rest of us lack? The memory of this morning rewound. I'd stepped out of the bathroom in that very nightgown, Sebastian's gaze snapped to me like a laser. His perfect brows slammed together. Lips flattened. I hugged the wall, wondering what crime I'd committed, ready to tiptoe past. Instead, he cuffed my wrist, voice clipped, imperial, change. No skirts in the morning from now on. Then he slid his chair back, expressionless, and stalked out. Left me rooted to the carpet, twisting my fingers, nose stinging. A lifetime of being the pampered sterling heiress everyone bent to me, I never bent to anyone. And now I'm supposed to placate the sullen iceberg, letting him police my closet? The injustice ballooned, pop, pop, until I couldn't breathe. I'm done playing house with Sebastian. I dragged my suitcase onto the bed. Only when I started packing did I realize how prolific his gifts have been: fine jewelry, gold bullion, designer handbags, enough loot to stock a boutique. Just boxing it winded me. I caved and flopped on the sofa for a short rest before my great escape. If those scrolling comments hadn't hijacked my phone, I'd already be gone. Turns out Sebastian's glare wasn't fury, he was hanging on to the cliff edge of self-control. He sent the paparazzi away because he was terrified he'd frighten me. More lines kept dripping down the screen. I stared, numb. Sebastian likes me? I thought we were textbook tycoon and trophy. Besides, what is there to like? Our first meeting was squalid, mortifying. The spring I graduated, Dad's gambling addiction detonated the family fortune and buried us in debt. He took his own life, leaving a voicemail: Daddy loves you, sweetheart. See you in the next life. Noble, right? Except at the memorial hall I faced a phalanx of loan sharks blocking the door while Dad's black and white portrait smiled overhead, and I couldn't squeeze out a single tear. He escaped, I inherited the crater. I knew nothing of receiverships or restructuring. I liquidated every bracelet and Birkin, spit in the ocean. While I obsessed over spreadsheets, Victoria's warm smiles rotted into something predatory. One night she ushered me to a private club mixer to court Samer's $3 million trust. Those men never planned to invest, they wanted me drunk. I soon burned with chemical heat, legs liquefying. Victoria materialized, helping me upstairs. I stumbled into the suite and stopped. A man already lay on the bed, breathing like a wounded lion. When I lurched closer, he lunged and clamped my throat. "Get out!" I clawed at iron forearms, oxygen thinning. In the scuffle, the velvet drapes ripped open, moonlight spilled over my face, and his grip loosened. His voice cracked, "It's you?" Synapses melting, I only knew he looked delicious. I straddled him, bit his Adam's apple, a groan tore from his chest before he seized my chin and kissed me blind. At dawn, a horde of paparazzi crashed in, DSLRs hammering. Sebastian's chief of staff arrived, cameras were surrendered, reporters marched out like chastened kindergartners. Sebastian phoned for clothes, still silent. Anyone could smell the setup, yet only one person had motive and access, the bankrupt heiress caught beside him. The black hat landed squarely on my head, evidence was nowhere. I clutched his jacket hem, babbling, "I didn't call them, I didn't plan this, please believe me." I was frantic, he could flatten me like a gnat. Sebastian studied me, then gently buttoned his blazer around my shoulders. "I know," he murmured. "I believe you." Ever since that night, I've been with Sebastian. He paid off my family's debts and told the outside world I was his girlfriend. But I always figured Sebastian did it because he's a man of decency. After all, if that night hadn't happened, our lives would never have intersected. I still feel a little guilty toward him. Though I was a victim, too, the one who actually drugged me was my stepmother in name. Sebastian is cool, polite, almost too courteous. The type who would still ask "may I?" before kissing me. So, if it weren't for that diary, I'd sooner believe the floating comments I keep seeing are hallucinations from a mental break. To test whether they were real, I deliberately slipped into a silk slip again. This time I pulled out something even flashier than the SpongeBob nightie, a white satin slip dress with a row of tiny pearls dangling at the neckline that clinked softly with every move. Undeniably seductive. Before long, Sebastian knocked on the bedroom door after work. I drew a deep breath and opened it. "Lily, the moment he saw what I was wearing, he froze. Dark eyes locking on me. My heart raced, a shy heat rising in my chest. Still, I lifted my chin in challenge. "You said no silk slips in the morning, Sebastian. What about at night?" I waited quietly for his next move. However, Sebastian didn't answer for the longest time. After a beat, he lowered his gaze. Then he held out the armful of scarlet long-stem roses to me. "Sorry." His tone remained mild and distant. Yet for some reason his voice sounded hoarse. "This morning I was harsh." He cleared his throat. "I wasn't angry at you. Don't be upset." Behind the silver frames, his usually gentle eyes now carried a plea. I huffed softly, tilting my head with pride. "Don't let it happen again." As I took the huge bouquet from his arms, I deliberately brushed my lips across his cheek. A flicker. Gone in an instant. Yet I still heard it, Sebastian's breath catching raggedly. After dinner, one of his executives called to discuss business. I lounged on the sofa and gave him a small smile. Our eyes met, his expression stayed neutral. His gaze skimmed over me, phone in hand, and he walked straight into the study. I blinked, deflated. He's choosing work, again? Was the slip not sexy enough? Or were those floating captions a lie? My thoughts tangled as I drifted to the study door for one last try. Through the gap I saw him leaning back in the black leather chair. Just as I was about to step inside, I heard an unmistakable low gasp. Startled, I peered in. Between Sebastian's long fingers he pinched a Polaroid of me. Amid his heavy breaths, I caught a mumbled word. "Baby." My face blazed. He was doing that while staring at my photo. My hand on the knob twisted instinctively. Creak, the door swung open. I lifted a foot, ready to confront him, then froze. Too mortifying. What on earth could I say? Annoyance surged. It wasn't my denseness, blame Sebastian's frigid facade. Who could guess the aloof gentleman was secretly such a degenerate? I sucked in a breath, shamefully eased the door shut again, and scurried off in a tangle of limbs. Forget it. Ahem, I'd find another time to talk. Before I figured out how to question him, Victoria's birthday gala arrived. I hadn't planned to show, but some belongings were still in my old bedroom. So I went. Victoria, first in line for my father's inheritance, had turned my mother's designer villa into nouveau riche kitsch. Watching her drip fine jewelry while basking in flattery, I rolled my eyes. 2 years ago, right after that chaotic night with Sebastian, I'd stormed over to confront her. She'd knelt, bawling and slapping herself. Lily, I had no choice. You couldn't watch your father's life's work be seized by those vultures. Sebastian is young, spotless, no scandals. You'd be lucky. Back then I'd bitten my cheek bloody, glaring, hatred searing through me. I despised Dad for marrying such a viper, despised her for drugging me. I'd never felt so helpless, 20, orphaned, certain no one would ever love me again. Enough of that. I retreated to the back garden for air, only to overhear my half-sister chatting with her clique. They spotted me, paused, then ignored me as though I were glass. I was turning to leave when their snide remarks floated over. Tiffany, you and the Zhao second son are getting engaged, right? Yes, date set, the 5th of next month. Perfect match. Not like your shameless sister, playing trophy for the great CEO Sterling. Once he's done with her, who'd want the leftovers? I stopped, stepped up, and slapped the speaker. Tiffany shrieked, "How dare you hit her?" "I'll tell Mother." I swiveled, expressionless. Slap, 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 slap. 10 ringing slaps left Tiffany crimson-cheeked and speechless, whining at last, "Lily, you psycho." I sneered. You trash talk to my face, a beating is light. Had I not stayed with Sebastian and let him clear our debts, you'd be homeless by now. All the pent-up fury and hurt burst out. I raised my voice. And think I volunteered? Think I enjoy being his trophy? Your mom roofied me and shoved me into his bed. Did anyone ask me? The two girls, ready to retort, went sheet white. Suddenly silent. Puzzled, I turned. Sebastian stood beneath the flowers, head lowered, looking as though he might shatter. Pressing his lips, he stared at me. At last he asked quietly, "So, you never wanted to be with me?" That night, Sebastian didn't come back to the bedroom. He didn't even come home. His executive assistant rang me instead, voice textbook polite, "Lily, the chairman's pulling an all-nighter. He'll sleep at Sterling. He asked me to tell you to go to bed early and not to sneak mint chip ice cream at 3 a.m. The comment feed rolled like a slot machine, all ha ha ha, Cold Stone CEO washing his own boxers, love it. I'm howling, why is this equal parts cute and infuriating? Our girl rants a whole paragraph, our CEO brain auto-summarizes, she doesn't love me. Our poor little husband material king, mad as hell but still clocks in to say, I'm here, don't worry. I used to laugh at the jokes. Tonight I only felt heat crawl up my throat. Arg, Sebastian is a jerk. Why won't he give me 30 seconds to explain? Where exactly is he hiding? I couldn't unload that on the assistant. So I faked calm. Tell him to come home when he's finished. My fingers tightened until the phone case edges dug crescents into my palm. I'll wait. The assistant lit up like Times Square. Absolutely, Lily. When he hears that, he'll be over the moon. But Sebastian still didn't walk through the door. My texts quit earning their usual lightning replies. They sank, unread, to the bottom of the Atlantic. Gifts kept arriving, each more extravagant than the last, like bribes, or severance pay. I couldn't decide which. Then the juiciest bit of gossip hit the group chats. Tiffany's engagement to the trust fund prince imploded. Somebody anonymously FedExed him proof of her year abroad juggling 3 boyfriends. The prince flipped, compiled a color-coded PDF, and blasted it to every contact in Eastbrook. Tiffany became a walking punchline overnight. She wailed that life wasn't worth living. Victoria, my stepmother, almost tore her hair out, less over Tiffany's meltdown than over her own portfolio. Someone short-sold her stock picks and hedge funds to absolute zero. She's officially broke. Old me would have cackled at the karma. Tonight I couldn't even fake a smile. Sebastian wasn't here. The mansion felt refrigerated. My favorite dishes turned to cardboard on the dining table. I curled under a throw on the sofa, eyes glazing over at an infomercial for vitamin gummies. Boring. No one to hear my dumb stories and answer aha like they mattered. No one waiting outside the shower with a hairdryer the second I finished rinsing. No one to scold, next time you filch mint chip during your period you're grounded, while spooning brown sugar water between my lips. Only now did the receipt of his kindness print itself out line by line. My chest felt hollowed. I'd already grown used to him, maybe even leaned on him. I glanced at the comments. LOL, Sebastian's camped at the office, scared Lil will dump him over text. CEO's hurting, Lil's hurting. 2 soggy pickles in the same jar. Blame the mute robot king. She doubts your feelings, just tell her, I've liked you since homeroom isn't quantum physics. My gaze snagged. Wait. Since homeroom? I blurted at the screen. Have I met Sebastian before? The feed froze. Then exploded. She can see us? At admin server glitch. I was near tears. Please, somebody decode this for me. What are you talking about? The comments showered answers, and forgotten pixels sharpened into Technicolor memory. 17. I skipped class, terrorized the halls with my platinum posse. One truth or dare spin later, they dared me to eat scholarship's lunch. Go on, Lily. Kid only has 1 bun, snatch it so he starves. I wanna watch His Ice Majesty lose it. Face it, he's just a broke pretty boy. Under the courtyard maple I met Sebastian, uniform faded at the elbows, steamed bun pinched between fingers, the other hand solving calculus. He looked edible, so I bit, literally, into his bun. And burst into tears. It was awful. Cold, gray dough, the filling bitter as dandelion milk. You roofied it. I sobbed. He blinked. You grabbed my lunch. It's wild herb, tastes bitter. Jet eyes, flat lake surface, no anger, no blame. For the first time in my entitled life I felt guilt. I fished out my meal card, 10 grand freshly loaded, and shoved it at him. Fine, bun for card. Eat something real, scholarship. I bolted. Adolescent stupidity filed the incident under delete. Sebastian never did. That 10 grand kept him fed senior year. No more stomach growls, no more tap water dinners. 17 to 27, scholarship to tycoon, he kept the receipt in his head. Until the night I found him dizzy, roofie-dosed, propped against the headboard. He focused through the fog, voice soft and stunned, "Why, is it you?" Tears stung my lids. I thought that night was our messy first encounter, something to bury. It never crossed my mind that for Sebastian it was the reunion he'd rehearsed for a decade, too miraculous to trust. I was both furious and frantic. I stood up and decided to go to Sebastian's office to find him. I was going to chew him out properly. People have mouths so misunderstandings can be cleared, so use them. A perfectly good man who insists on playing mute, what a waste of that soft, kissable mouth. Whatever he's thinking, he won't say it to my face, he bottles it all up inside. Every tiny feeling hides in the pages of his diary. I'm going to ask him point blank what's in his heart. Does he like me or not? I snatched my car keys and sped to the curb outside Sterling. The temperature had dropped. Freezing. I exhaled a puff of white mist and dialed Sebastian with a shiver of grievance. Ring after ring. At last he picked up. Lily. His voice sounded flustered. I'm in a meeting, I don't have time to chat, I don't care. Sebastian. I raised my voice. I'm downstairs at your building right now. It's freezing out here. If you don't come get me, I'm going to catch a cold on purpose. Bullet comments scrolled like crazy, classic spoiled heiress threat, so original. What? On the other end he panicked. I heard a chair scrape back hard in quick footsteps. Wait in the car, turn the heater on full, I'll be right down. More bullet comments sighed, he's hopeless, no saving him, folks, he's whipped. I stared steadily at the main doors. Sure enough. In under 3 minutes. Sebastian strode into view. 3 minutes wasn't his limit, it was the elevator's. Through the swirling snow he hurried toward me. He'd rushed out so fast he wore only a thin white shirt and a custom charcoal cashmere vest that emphasized his tapered waist, broad shoulders, long legs. Yet over one arm he carried a heavy black overcoat, clearly meant for me. He closed the distance, draped the coat across my shoulders, blocking the wind and snow, and only then did his knitted brow relax. A soft plume of breath left his lips. Sorry I kept you waiting. I shook my head, my nose stung with sudden tears. Not trusting my voice, I slipped my arm through his instead. You're right on time. I felt Sebastian tense for a split second. He cleared his throat and guided me inside. Though he tried to stay cool, I caught it, the faint tug at the corner of his mouth. Look at that, wifey took his arm, the robot CEO's secretly giddy. Robot bro, finally brave enough to say yes to temptation. We walked into the CEO's suite. The office matched its owner, cold, spare, boring. The only splashes of color were trays of my favorite snacks on the coffee table and stacks of fashion gossip magazines strewn across the sofa. Sebastian always did this, quietly stocking the things I loved. Hopeless man. While I stared, he pressed a cup into my hands, steam curling from the ginger tea. Lily, drink something warm so you don't catch cold, his words died. I had set the cup on the desk, risen on tiptoe, and hugged him. Sebastian froze, staring down at me. His apple bobbed. Voice shaky, what are you doing? I gave a soft snort. Fisted his tie and tugged until he lowered his head. Sebastian, would it kill you to stop being so stubborn with your mouth? I kissed his cheek. He went bored stiff. Lily, don't, such a hard mouth needed more kisses to soften. I kissed him again. Don't, another landing, this time full on his lips. His breathing hitched, eyes darkening. Then he swooped down, claiming a deeper, hungrier kiss. When we finally parted, his arm was still clamped around my waist as though I might bolt. Voice dazed, why are you so forward today? I nibbled my lower lip, half scolding. Because you're a jerk who won't come home. I had to drive here and make the first move. Shadows crossed his gaze. He lowered his forehead to mine, our breaths mingling, yet stayed silent. I took the initiative again. Sebastian, do you like me? This time there was no hesitation. I do. I smiled so hard my eyes curved. Oh. Since when, senior year at Eastbrook? His head snapped up, startled delight flaring, then panic. You remember? I huffed. If I hadn't, were you planning to keep quiet forever? His lashes trembled. I didn't want you thinking I was trading on that debt. You deserve to stay the carefree heiress, never burdened by anything. I've always felt unworthy. I didn't dare get close, being near you brings out every wicked thought in my head. The corners of his eyes were red, voice low and hoarse, utterly pitiful. I laughed helplessly. I never thought that of you, Sebastian. From now on we're together. Don't overthink, don't swallow everything. If you're hurting, say so. If you're sad, don't fake indifference, and when I misunderstand, explain. I rose on tiptoe, brushed a kiss to the knot between his brows, then beamed. Because I like you a lot. Let's be good to each other from now on. Sebastian stared, dazed, then his dark irises sparkled for the first time. Lily. He whispered, am I dreaming? Such a sap. The ruthless tycoon feared on every continent, and in front of me he's still the same lovesick boy from 10 years ago. I sighed, cupped his face, and landed a loud smack on his lips, proof that this was real. Real me. Real feelings. Last time I'd left in such a hurry I'd forgotten my luggage. Sebastian drove me back to the mansion over the weekend while I had a free morning. This time I was determined to pack up every last thing that belonged to me and never return. The storage attic hadn't been opened in ages, dust lay thick as velvet over every surface. I sifted and sorted for the longest time until I unearthed a single Polaroid in the back of a drawer, our senior year group shot from Eastbrook. The old photo was grainy, its laminated edges peeling, proof of how many years had passed. I spotted Sebastian at first glance. He stood in the farthest corner of the back row, lashes lowered, gaze angled toward the front, the faintest smile lifting one corner of his mouth. I traced that line of sight and found my own laughing face staring back at me. In the picture I wore my hair in a high ponytail, grinning like the world could never touch me. And there he was, tucked in the corner, hiding an entire devotion inside that barely the curve of his lips. For all the hours I never noticed, he'd loved me in the softest, most secret way. Something in my chest melted. I brushed my thumb across the photo, then slid it carefully into the lining of my suitcase. I was hauling the case downstairs when Victoria, my stepmother, burst out of nowhere and blocked the door. She looked haggard, hair sticking out in clumps as if someone had yanked it in handfuls. Feeling proud of yourself, Lily? Sebastian adores you, now you'll never worry about money again. She barred my way, her face twisted into something ugly and savage. You can thank me for the happy ending, you two only got together because of what I did. A laugh slipped out of me. Don't flatter yourself. Drugging me and shoving me into a stranger's bed was sick and sordid. If Sebastian and I hadn't already known each other, if that tycoon that night had lost his temper, what hell do you think I'd be living in right now? Victoria froze, then started to laugh until tears streamed down her cheeks. She looked demented. You don't understand a thing. If I hadn't done it, you, me, and Tiffany would have been ruined, destitute. I don't regret it. Not one bit. Watching her unravel, I frowned and took 2 frightened steps backward. A warm pair of arms caught me. Sebastian folded me against him, his eyes glacial as he stared her down. Let's go, Lily. We walked so far past the mansion gates we could still hear Victoria's raw, broken screams behind us. Victoria died. Only then did I learn she'd been battling stage 4 cancer and had weeks to live. That was why she'd rushed to marry Tiffany off. The estate attorney handed me a handwritten apology she'd left. In it she begged my forgiveness and asked me to leave Tiffany alone. The girl knew nothing of her schemes and was innocent. I dropped the letter in the trash. Death didn't earn her absolution from me. Still, I'd never planned to strike back at Tiffany. Dad was gone, Victoria was gone. Tiffany and I had never been close. Without blood or obligation, we could simply be strangers in this lifetime. Later I heard Tiffany flew overseas right after the funeral. I didn't follow her life any further. I simply asked a friend to pass her a card. Inside, a $3 million trust. If she could shed the arrogance and the need to flay in wealth, that money would keep her afloat for a long while. Her friends stared at the bank draft as if shocked that the one person still looking out for Tiffany was me, the stepsister she'd always fought. I only smiled, no explanations. But inside I was 15 again. Tiffany and I had loathed each other, brawling through the school hallways. One afternoon my period arrived early. I squatted in a cramped stall, frantic, begging every passing girl for tampons. Tiffany was the one who finally knelt, slid a pack under the door, and muttered, "Don't get sentimental, we're still enemies. I still hate you." But, 5-minute truce. Such a tiny thing, yet I remembered it for years. Days rolled on, orderly and calm. Near year-end, Sebastian and I went to Eastbrook to stock up on holiday groceries. As luck would have it, in the private garage we ran into the same paparazzi who'd once burst into that hotel suite and snapped clandestine shots of us. Still cowed by the last lawsuit, they snapped their DSLR cameras shut at lightning speed and began to stammer, "Sterling, Sterling. We're not hunting you, we're staking out an actor who's secretly married." Yeah. Go on ahead, we didn't see a thing. Right, Sterling, rest easy, nothing about you two will leak, guaranteed. Sebastian glanced at me. His eyes shone, soft and possessive. "Appreciate the courtesy, guys," he said, lifting our clasped hands for them to see. "But I no longer need hiding, my wife has finally given me a title. Snap whatever you like." On our ring fingers identical wedding bands glittered, fierce and bright. Yes, Sebastian and I had signed the marriage license. A few mornings earlier I'd been half asleep when something cold and enormous slid onto my finger. I opened my eyes and nearly went blind from the rock. Shirt half buttoned, Sebastian grinned, "Like it, baby?" When I nodded he nuzzled in for a kiss. "Then give your husband a public name, will you?" Surrounded by that much gorgeous temptation I turned into a reckless monarch and said yes without a second thought. The paparazzi blinked, then showered us with congratulations, predictable fluff about a match made in heaven and gorgeous gazillionaires. Sebastian soaked it up. I swear he glowed brighter than the day Sterling went public. They snapped a photo of us and vowed to run it on tomorrow's front page so the whole city would know. We waved goodbye. Sebastian automatically reached to straighten my scarf. His eyes smiled. "Sterling, get in, time to go home." I blinked, grinning wide. "Sure thing, husband." If you've stayed with the story, give it a score, 1 to 10. If you enjoyed it, hit like and share it with friends. We're waiting in the comments to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe for more tales like this. See you next episode.